better late than never, I guess. I've just bought the Matt Heafy Origins in the beautiful ebony finish. I might be late, but I'm gonna do the most thorough review possible with the help of the Matt Heafy Origins Bone White that belongs to a friend. And what's even better is that I get to compare them to the guitar that they're vaguely spec'd after. The Epiphone Les Paul Custom inspired by Gibson Custom. I have a couple of actual Gibson Les Paul Customs as well. Last but not least, I have the first Matt Heafy signature. There's also a surprise guitar later in the video that I'm sure you're all gonna like. Let's begin. Also later in the video I'm gonna explain how I almost got the wrong impression of this guitar and pickups because of a factory mistake. My guess is that the nut is slotted too wide, but no time to fix it. As usual, I start by going into the Epiphone website where we find the Jeff Beck Oxblood Signature, a cool guitar, electric guitars, artist collection. Some of my favorite guitars are in here. All of these I'm yet to check out: the Jeff Beck, the Jimi Hendrix, the Joe Bonamassa. I almost bought the Dave Grohl signature this month but wait for the Matt Heafy. I bought the 79 and reviewed it already. My next video is gonna be Greeny Epiphone vs Gibson, and I'm also gonna review the Jared James Nichols in gold. I'm gonna buy the Kirk Hammett Flying V. I did a lot of Adam Jones guitars from the artist collection. I did the Dave Mustaine Flying V Custom. Maybe I will review the Prophecy by Mustaine if a friend buys one. The Oasis guitar. Here are the Matt Heafy Origins that I'm gonna show you in this video. I think I reviewed every Slash signature color except for the November, and I definitely reviewed the Vino Jerry Control signature and I loved it. I've reviewed the Dark Horse and I've reviewed the Control Prophecy as well. Here's the Jared James Nichols Gold Glory, which I'm yet to review, and I gotta get the Tony Tire Electric Blue. That's a cool color. What else do we have here? Some more of the artist collection. I still own and I'm not selling my Veil of Bees. Damn, I really want to get my hands on the Lazarus, and I'm probably gonna do a Gibson Victoria video soon. Indulge me on this one, I just like to remind myself where I've been and where am I going. On to the matter at hand, we are here for the Matt Heafy Origins. In this video I'm gonna demonstrate both finishes, the Bone White and the Ebony, both costing $1,099. I ended up buying mine for around 1,150 and that was with a discount, so in Europe they're a bit more expensive. Fun story how I bought this guitar and how my friend bought the Bone White. I'm gonna tell it later in the video. He ended up paying somewhere around that ballpark, 1,150, 1,200 with a discount. And here's the official listing for it. A highly versatile guitar that's made for metal. Epiphone is proud to present the signature model designed in partnership with Trivium's Matt Heafy. Hey, what's going on here? I have internet. Why are you here, Mr. T-Rex? Blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Epiphone is proud to present the third signature guitar for Matt Heafy, and I'm gonna let the man present it himself.
Got me the Les Paul Custom when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and that was the guitar that was the archetype for everything. I need things to balance, so I knew if I was going to have a black guitar, I need to have a white guitar as well. I wanted to make sure that every piece of hardware was identical across the two guitars. So that's why this one has the same black and gold as the black guitar. To have consistency amongst the hardware, which maybe is just more for me than anyone else. With my approach to design or my approach to aesthetics, I always try to put just as much care as I would in visuals, even though I'm not an artist for visual art, as I would the auditory art. It's typically always been things that I can't make are the things that inspire me the most. Food, art, and then in turn that helps feed the musical inspiration for me. With the timelessness of the Les Paul Custom and the look of the Les Paul Custom, I didn't want to deviate too far. I never have either. I've never wanted to go full-blown artwork on the guitar itself other than the most classic look. I've always felt there's something about that black and gold Les Paul Custom, the white and gold Les Paul Custom that you've seen 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. That's always been something that's been imprinted in my brain. So I wanted to keep that going. And I always do have the concept of whether someone is a Trivium fan or not, I want them to want the instrument. And that was the concept with the original Les Paul with the black and the Snowfall. And it's absolutely the case again with the Origin. I want people to go, even if they don't know who I am or aren't a fan, that they still need the guitar. Trivium is just as known sonically for the 7-string range as it is the 6, so it was very important to me that if there was going to be a signature guitar back to having the compulsions of having things balanced and equal, I needed a 7 as well. So I needed to make sure that if Trivium fans would go out and get these guitars, they could play every single song of ours the exact same way that I would, so I needed to have those two strings. And now having 6/7 black and white, 6/7 right and left is incredible. So now we'll finally be able to satisfy all the lefties who've been feeling left out for the last couple of years. I started using 7-string on Trivium on the Crusade record, which is our third record, which is a primarily pretty thrash metal record, but we've got a couple songs that go into that progressive, lower range. I always like having more options, so 6, 7, and someday 8 and 9 Les Pauls, we'll see.
There are not many things that you can change on a Les Paul Custom, especially if you don't want to deviate from the original too much, and yet somehow Matt and Epiphone managed to build this guitar almost from the ground up. It feels like a totally different beast. First of all, the looks. They did the blackout version with the MKH Custom, they did the whole white thing with the Snowfall, so there were not much options left. Matt is associated with the Les Paul Custom, so they couldn't go for a colorful burst. And remember that Epiphone just released the Adam Jones Art Collection and the 79 that I have, so a silver burst finish is off the table, at least for now. What they did for the looks is to turn back to the origins of Trivium, hence the name. The Ebony is styled after Matt's Les Paul Custom that can be seen in the Pull Harder video in pleasantly low resolution. Matt's styling and makeup compensate for it though. The Bone White is styled after the Les Paul Supreme from the Gunshot video. Only the looks though, because the Supreme is slightly thicker than the Custom and has an arch back with no lid for the electronics. Good luck swapping the pickups on that thing, but somehow Matt managed to put EMGs in there. Next up, the feel of the guitar. This is where the major changes are. First of all, the 2020 inspired by Gibson Les Paul Custom platform made in China by itself feels different from the 2013 and 2017 Matt Heafy signature guitars. In some ways it feels better, in others it feels worse, but we'll get to that eventually. All the inspired by Gibson guitars have the Kalamazoo headstock, and I am not entirely sure it's better looking. I personally prefer the pre-2020 old style of the headstock for the Matt Heafy signature guitars, the one with the smaller diamond. And here's a really unpopular opinion, I don't like the open book headstock on Epiphones. That's one of the reasons I prefer my Veil of Bees Adam Jones signature over his 1979 with the Gibson open book headstock, among other reasons that you can hear in that review. What contributes most to the unique feel of the Origins is the neck. It is a huge difference over both the MKH Custom, the Snowfall and the regular Custom, and a Gibson Custom for that matter. I have never felt a neck that slim on a Les Paul. Story time, I remember back in 2023 when I was still working in a guitar store and finally had the chance to get my hands on the Origins. I ordered the Bone White and the Ebony both in 6-string configuration, which are the exact guitars in this video. And I also ordered the 7 strings in both colors. My idea was to try them out and buy the Bone White for myself to review it. I remember receiving all 4 guitars and opening the cases in a haste. Then I reached to take out the Bone White 6-string and I was like, oh, that's different. I was expecting the Les Paul Custom neck, which this is not. But to be fair, the MKH Custom and the Snowfall also feel different from the Gibson Les Paul Custom neck. And that is a good thing. I personally am used to the Gibson Les Paul Custom neck, and both the old signature and the Origins felt weird to me and I needed to adjust a bit. Back in 2023, the neck felt way unnatural to me, combined with the Fishman pickups that I am also skeptical about. I ended up passing on the Origins. That's why I'm late to the party. Fast forward to late 2024, I was still at the shop and both Origins were still hanging on my wall. Then one day, a guy from my hometown of Varna came to the store with the intent of trying the Bone White. We hit it off pretty fast, as guitar guys usually do, and he ended up buying the Bone White Origins. I told him that I would love to review it one day, and he agreed, but had to go back to our hometown. We settled that someday he may bring it to me for a review. A month ago, he hit me up with, "Hey man, I'm coming to Sofia for the Guns N' Roses concert. I'm going to be there for a couple of days, would you like to review the Origins?" Of course I had to agree. The problem was that I would only have a day to record everything. And here's the thing, Matt Heafy was and still is a huge influence on me. I started playing 12 years ago with the MKH Custom that I foolishly sold mint with a case and the COA back in 2017. I regret it to this day. Luckily, I had sold the ESP Eclipse full thickness a couple of days prior and a Slash Vermilion, so I had a cash to spare. I went to the shop that I used to work in on the next day, not the same building that closed, but the bigger shop, and the 2023 Ebony was still hanging on their wall. I took it home for a good price, and this way I would get to do the proper review on the Ebony and just feature the Bone White. But then I started thinking again, you know what would be cool? Why don't I buy the MKH Custom from 2013 as well to compare both guitars? I was really lucky because a friend had just listed his guitar for sale the previous night, and it's the same exact guitar that I've reviewed 2 years ago. I ended up buying it. As I said, I want to do a proper video. I refuse to be rushed when a guitar comes out. When it's a guitar from my favorite artists like Hetfield, Slash and Matt Heafy, I would like to own these for a while and put them through everyday use. Before I go to the new guitars, I'm gonna take the opportunity to revisit the 2013 MKH Custom. A couple of years ago I reviewed the first Matt Heafy signature. Here's how that went. Having all of these guitars here in the same place and time gives me the opportunity to compare the Origins to the 2013 MKH Custom after I restored it, the inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom and an actual Gibson Custom. I'm gonna start with the MKH Custom, and not just any MKH, the exact one that I've reviewed. Initially I was just gonna review the white Origins that belongs to a friend that's gonna visit, but I ended up buying the black one. Then I started looking for the MKH Custom, and luckily a friend of mine was selling it. Not just any MKH, the exact one that I've reviewed. I wanted to find my first guitar that I've sold back in 2017, but I couldn't, so I got this instead. and it's not a bad guitar, it just has been played a lot and needs some love to get back in shape. So I'm gonna bring this back to shine. I got new screws, I got black strap buttons, I'm gonna polish it, I'm gonna take care of it. And my friend did a couple of things that I have to fix though. He swapped the bridge and the neck pickup, but got the incline of the pickup rings wrong, so I'm gonna have to swap these back and fix the pickup rings. And he installed the bridge the other way around. And just to double check, yeah, that's the EMG 81 that should be in the bridge position with the taller pickup ring, and this is the EMG 85. The height adjustment screws are rusted and needlessly long, so I'm gonna replace these. And here's the thing, I thought I had some of these black screws, but the EMG pickups are using the Imperial thread ones, so I had to get these from a friend. You see, I have these and I thought I was set, but these are metric thread and don't work with EMG pickups. Here are the dimensions of the original pickup height adjustment screw. These are Imperial as I mentioned, and this is longer than the ones that I got, but they will work anyway. Here are the original pickup rings, nice and clean, no cracks, so I can use them. I've reinstalled the pickups with the new screws. I'm using the old springs though. And for this pickup ring, I'm not yet gonna adjust the height because it's too thin and it might crack. I'm gonna mount it to the guitar with the 4 screws first, and then I'm gonna adjust the pickup height. Be careful with plastic pickup rings, especially these thin ones. So this is the correct incline for the pickup. The EMG logo should be facing back like that, and on the lower side of it, this one should be facing like that. Now everything is correct. Time for a deep clean. Now I'm using a spirit, but only for the ebony fingerboard. Then I'm gonna polish the body, and I'm also gonna polish the frets. I've dampened the cloth and applied some spirit. I'm gonna wait for it to soak in the fingerboard and get this gunk out. And you can see the difference whether I've already cleaned, and I'm definitely polishing these frets. Now that the fingerboard is nice and clean, I'm gonna apply some fingerboard oil by Music Nomad. And remember folks, that's important because ebony is a hard wood. And here's a reminder of what could happen if you don't apply oil. You see the ebony on my 79 Adam Jones? I've already explained in the review for this guitar that it has been sitting on a shop wall, no oil applied. The neck joint was moving due to humidity and temperature changes, and the harder ebony fingerboard didn't move with it, resulting in a crack. This is purely cosmetic though. That's a bit of an extreme case, and I think that Adam Jones had this problem from the factory, but apply oil every 4 months, just in case. I've already put some oil on the fingerboard, and remember, the idea of applying oil is to rub it gently against the fingerboard. It needs to go into the board, not into the cloth. Here's the thing, you can clean directly with the oil, but I've used spirit because this guitar was extra dirty. So I'm gonna clean again with the oil and then apply some more. I might be wrong, but I think this guitar was oiled last by me a year and something ago. Here's what the guitar looks like before I do my magic and deep clean it, then polish and detail. Ta-da! Now it looks much better after I've cleaned it with guitar polish and then detailed it. Good as new. Now I'm gonna take care of the hardware. I got a set of new screws for the pickup rings as well. The old ones were rusted out and slightly bulkier. These will look much better. I got black Schaller strap buttons as well, but my friend installed one of them crooked, so I have to fix this as well. Check this beauty out with the new screws on the frames. Nice and polished, the headstock is polished, new screws for the truss rod cover. Onto the matter at hand, measuring the neck and the thickness of the body, comparing it to the origins. 43mm for the nut as usual, 48.8 for the 5th fret. The 12th fret is at 53.8, slightly wider than most guitars. Thickness at the 1st fret is 20.9, which is okay, but getting thicker at the 5th, 22, and check out the massive 12th fret, 27.5. This is the thickest I've recorded, but that's because of the neck joint, as I shall demonstrate. So this has the thickest 12th fret, the origin has the thinnest. The metric spacing for the Epiphone, 58.6mm. and a full thickness body of 51.8 millimeters. I'm gonna compare it to the Gibson. Before that, I'm gonna demonstrate the difference in the headstock shape, the Kalamazoo for the Origins and the old style of the Epiphone headstock. Both feature the Mother of Pearl logo and the diamond, smaller diamond on the Matt Heafy Custom, the first one. And here's the truss rod on the first one, and here's the one on the Origins. My honest opinion, I prefer the old style of the headstock for the MKH, and I prefer the blacked out hardware. I also like the black speed knobs on the MKH more than the black nerd metal on the Origin. Both of these feature plastic inlays which are consistent and similar, but I kinda prefer the ebony of the original MKH because it seems much higher grade. Has some pores here towards the end, but check it out. Even though this one is not oiled yet, you can see the difference. Brownish and lower quality. Back of the headstock of the Origins is signed by Matt Heafy. This is the one on the Custom. This one has locking tuners, and the necks are completely different, as I shall demonstrate a bit later. The MKH has the axis heel, which is a bit thicker on the 12th fret. The Origins features the modern contoured heel, which allows for the slimmest neck I've ever experienced on a Les Paul. It is insane how different these two necks feel, and that definitely affects playability. Pickup spacing for the Origins is metric as well, 58.3. Slightly thinner than the MKH at 49.9. Still a full thickness though. This is the latest 2024 inspired by Gibson Custom Epiphone Les Paul Custom with the open book headstock. This is the Kalamazoo headstock, and this is the old style for the Epiphone headstock on the MKH. Unpopular opinion, out of these for the MKH, I prefer the old style. The regular Epiphone Les Paul Customs feature a full thickness body but have back binding and no axis heel or modern heel. Both the Origin and the MKH don't feature back binding and have axis or modern heels. Speaking of heels, hello! And here's the guitar that all of these should be modeled after, the Gibson Les Paul Custom. This has Mother of Pearl like the inspired by Gibson Custom Epiphone. Open book headstock, and the spacing here is different, as I shall demonstrate. Here's the imperial spacing of 60 mm. The body thickness is 51.8 mm like the MKH, and the traditional set neck joint with the binding on the back. None of the Les Pauls for Matt Heafy have back binding, as I already mentioned. And to be honest, the MKH feels closely spec'd to the Gibson Les Paul Custom than the Origins. I'm gonna set the MKH in drop C sharp, the Trivium tuning with 1149 Elixir nano web strings, and I'm gonna do, or at least try to do the same setup on the Origins pickup height, string height, etc, etc. So I have the height for the EMGs around 3 mm as suggested, and for the string height we have 150 12 fret 6 string, 125 first string 12 fret. There's a bit of a fret buzz on the 6th string, but it's okay. As I was installing a brand new battery in the MKH, I've noticed that the terminal is much better and sturdier than the Origins. The Origins features this Fox leather one, which is flimsy, so that's definitely a point for the MKH. Before I move on to the MKH Origins in both Ebony and Bone White, let's see how these guitars came to be with some actual videos from Matt Heafy explaining how the prototypes went into production. There are two videos, prototype phase 1 and phase 2, that I'm gonna show you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new MKH Origin Series. My new Epiphones are finally here. As you all know, the original MKH and the Snowfall MKH have been sold out around the planet for a very long time now. They've been gone. They're not ever being made again in that color configuration. We've been waiting a long time. We've been slowly piecing it all together. I finally got them. 2 of them are here. I believe it's both the 6 strings, and I want to tell everybody these are prototypes. The current pickup color is not accurate. Mine's going to be this. These are the MKH pickups. So imagine these in the slots. That's what they will be. The prototypes. So I mean, this is a serious test, because normally I get the prototypes, test them out for a while, no one sees it publicly, but we're going to test it out publicly. So they're going to rule. They're going to rule. Remember, the pickups are going to be black with the gold stripe. Remember that. The new Epiphone headstock. The signature on the headstock. Les Paul MKH Origins Custom. Now, why Origins? Jody had the idea. I was like, Jody, what the heck do I do for next color? He's like, make them like the guitars that people first ever saw you with ever. That's what this is. It's a lighter body. For all the dudes that kept complaining, I've never had a female owner of the MKH ever complain about the weight. It's only been the guys. Better neck access heel. Push pulls. All push pulls? 4 push pulls? So this is modeled like the Supreme that you remember seeing me with. Now this, modeled after the original OG Les Paul Custom of mine. This is like the one that you remember from the Pull Harder video, all that stuff. Whole bunch of push pulls. I'm about to get into those in a minute. Again, the pickups are not the final. It's going to be black with the gold stripe, but look at that headstock. The signature. The signature is going to be centered. That's the first thing. Les Paul MKH Origins Custom. What's up, YouTube? How you doing? We just got the new guitars in. I'm going to show you the old ones for comparison first. This is the first white prototype. What I want you to take notice of, there's no toggle plate here, and we tested out, obviously, whether black knob, which looks good, or gold knobs, which looks good. Like, there's a lot of options here. This is the one with the old neck. This was the access heel, and we asked them on the prototyping to change this to the modern heel. So again, comparison to just look. I need to pick two. We got black classic knob, gold classic knobs, no toggle plate. This is still from the first round of prototypes. This is the one where we tried out the knurled knobs. This is something we definitely need to decide on. I think they're pretty slick. This is also no toggle switch at all. This is the old neck, but this is the new headstock. This is not the locking Grovers, and this is not my Fishmans. But do pay attention to these knobs. These knobs are pretty cool. And this is with no toggle switch cover, which actually looks pretty cool. So luckily, the playing is so damn good that the cosmetics are almost like, that's all we've been focusing on. This is the one with the spiky thing too. Just got the new ones in yesterday. They were just created and sent to me. They play incredibly. I've not played them through an amp yet. Check this out. Okay, so this is the golden white. This is a different kind of knob. This is like a classic knurled. So it's the same size, the classic, except it's knurled, meaning when you push and pull, because these are 3-voice, they're not going to fly out. They definitely look different. This is really cool. It's gold and gold engraved rhythm treble, but do we like it better without those? So make sure you drop me a comment after you like and subscribe. YouTube, but tell me seriously which knobs you prefer, which toggle things you prefer. But these are my signature Fishmans. The neck is correct this time. The neck is the modern Prophecy neck, which apparently is more ergonomic. So those are the classic knurled knobs. They look a little big to me, but they're also rad. These are the locking Grover machine heads, which are freaking sick. It means you just have to put a little bit of slack and you can cut it. The new headstock. The neck is the thinnest neck I've ever felt on a Les Paul ever, and this is the lightest Les Paul I've ever felt ever. I'm still going to use a double strap with it because I still feel like it, but it's the lightest Les Paul I've ever felt. And here's the black one. This is the black classic knurled knobs, which they're really weird, but they're really cool too. That's with the toggle cover, rhythm treble. This is the new headstock, the locking machine heads. Oh yeah, it comes with a signed MKH. Also, it comes with a hard shell case that is signed too, which is freaking awesome. That does not drive the price up crazily because Epiphones somehow are magicians. This is the modern access. Sorry, not the modern access heel. This is the modern heel. It's supposedly better than the access. Spiky guys, MKH, classic. Are you ready to hear what my pickups sound like? I'm muting my voice because I'm very excited to hear this. I think this is the first time we've ever played my pickups ever.
And then there's the finished product.
Originally, when we were planning on making Epiphone MKH, the plan was to grab my 1999 Gibson Les Paul Custom that I got when I was a kid. I sent that over to Epiphone. I said, model this exactly. Check the weight, the playability, the feel, everything about this guitar, and let's make it into the price point that is correct for our fan base and for our supporters. Something that I can play the exact same guitar that comes off the music store shelf, that comes from the factory of Epiphone, and it's the same guitar that kids can buy at the music store. Because as a kid, I would always be let down. I'd say, oh, there's my favorite guitar player's guitar, but he plays the $5,000 or the $10,000 version, and that was a different version. So I wanted to make sure the same thing that I use is the same thing people are going to use when they pick it up in the store. So over the years, as we can see, the original MKHs did incredibly well, the 6 and 7 black and whites. And this time, we wanted to basically give the entire model a new evolution. The reason why they're called Origins is because they're based off the original guitars that people first ever saw me with Trivium, which would have been the Pull Harder video with the black Les Paul Custom, and the Gunshot video was actually the white Supreme, but I wanted to shift it to be the Les Paul Custom as I like things to match. So we took the MKH Epiphone that was already perfect, modeled after the old Gibson, and did some modern changes. First one, noticeably, is the new modern cutaway heel. I love the way this feels because it's a mixture of what we felt with the old MKH, but also going back to the way a true Les Paul Custom feels. I feel the accessibility is much better for my playing style. Still currently on the 6th string, it's a 24 3/4 inch scale, which I feel it should be. I do have people sometimes ask me, Matt, why not 24 frets? I never really used 24 frets. I prefer 22 personally for 6 and 7. The 7th string did get an evolution. It is now 25.5 inch scale for the 7th string. So it's actually a lot beefier of a tone, heavier playing. It sounds incredible. Went with a thinner neck this time around. So the guitar is lighter, the neck is faster, the neck is thinner. The strap pegs are pretty amazing. It's these diamond style ones. So this way, when someone gets the guitar, brings it out of the box, they can put a strap on it safely and not have the guitar fall if they're jumping around at all. We went with the locking Grover tuners. Now it's not locking in the sense that it's gonna keep your pitch, because that's not what I like with the tuners, but what I love about these is you only have to put a little bit of string through, clamps down, and you can get it to where you want it to be in the tuning. The pickups are a huge change. We went with the Fishman MKH Customs. These are 3-voice Fishmans. Now the way Fishmans have been described to me, they are passive pickups with active technology. However, there is an active voice, that's the one that's down, that's when all the knobs are down. You raise it, and it becomes essentially the passive voice. From there, you can also lift up the tone knob, and there's multiple combinations. As you can see, I'm terrible at math, but there's 4, and you can go between the 3. So there's a lot of endless possibilities you could do there. But now you have a single coil tone on both the bridge, the middle, and the neck. And I think that once people are able to play a Les Paul and hear it, and they can hear it sound like that super twangy single coil thing, it's pretty unbelievable. I've never really heard a Les Paul sound that way till my guitar. We went a little bit more modern in the look. I dropped the rhythm treble thing. I wanted to go with similarities with the guitar, where we don't change any of the hardware between the white and the black. It's the same black pickups, it's the same gold hardware, it's the same black knurled knobs. Now, why knurled over the classics? I feel like sometimes the classics, when you're playing live, I knock them off. The knurleds, that's not really possible. I feel like they're much stronger, they're much sturdier. The guitar really has live in mind, since Trivium has been playing live shows since I was 12 and a half, 13 years old. I knew what I needed to happen. It needed to be minimal, it needed to be perfected, it needed to be sleek and modern. It has my signature built in, which I'm always happy about. It has the new truss cover right here, the Les Paul MKH Origins Custom. We have this in 6 and 7 string, black and white, and actually a righty and a lefty. Lefties, we heard you loud and clear. You were yelling at me for the last decade that you wanted some left-handed guitar. So we'll have left, right, black, white, 6, 7. So Epiphone and Gibson have entrusted in me to have 8 guitars this time around. So I hope you love all of them as much as I do.
For the specs, we have a Les Paul style body, maple top, modern weight relief. We got a mahogany body, of course, slim neck profile, and that's putting it mildly, it's extremely slim. Medium jumbo frets, Graphtec nut, ebony fingerboard. The hardware has one of the few things that I dislike, the Epiphone lock tone bridge in the tailpiece. For the electronics, the star of the show, the MKH Fishman Fluence pickups, which are already sold separate. Tight and aggressive ceramic for the bridge and an Aunico neck for softer sound. 3-way Epiphone toggle and an Epiphone heavy duty output jack are a weak link in the chain. Another cool addition is the custom hardshell case with the signature. These are the factory strings. The fingerboard has never been cleaned or oiled. I'm gonna take care of the frets as well. Earlier I mentioned the quality of the ebony for the new models being worse than the old, and now you see what I'm talking about. Check it out on the MKH Custom. Darker color and fewer pores. Now that the fingerboard is nice and oiled, let's run you through the specs real quick. First of all, this guitar is based on the inspired by Gibson Les Paul Custom, not by inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom, which means that it has a 3-piece mahogany neck with a scarf joint just like the MKH Custom. It also features ebony fingerboard, pearloid plastic, blocking lace. The inspired by Gibson Custom has mother of pearl. 22 medium jumbo frets, mahogany body with a maple top and modern weight relief. 7-ply binding only on the top, modern heel, and what really sets it apart are a set of Fishman Fluence Matt Heafy signature pickups with a unique look and a unique sound. Epiphone lock tone bridge and a tailpiece. Here's what's in the pickup cavities. The neck pickup cavity has some dust from polishing wheels or something like that. The QR sticker in the bridge pickup cavity, the model and serial number written on it, and a quick connect for the Fishmans. Weirdly, this guitar is exactly as it came out of the factory, and the ceramic pickup seems to be in the neck position. Not sure if the stickers are put in correctly. Fishman logo, the gold stripe sets it apart from other pickups, and for the bridge position we have the 6-string Aunico. That's really weird. That's exactly how the guitar came out of the factory. Did Epiphone install these incorrectly? I'm not sure if these are metric screws, but I'm gonna find out because I'm gonna have to swap the pickups as they were intended. The screws for them are the same length for all of the pickup rings. Here's the pickup that's intended for the neck position, the slightly softer sounding Aunico. I'm gonna have to swap the pickup rings as well. I've noticed that they have the Fishman logo up here. All sorts of pin connections that I don't entirely understand. It's an overly complicated pickup. I'm not a fan of the proprietary Fishman pickups in other Epiphones, but this one looks cool and obviously sounds better. Scanning this QR sticker gives you a serial number and a date. This one gave me 2302, meaning it's February of 2023. This is accurate since the guitar itself was completed a couple of months later. There's no date on the pickup itself other than the QR sticker. I'm really curious, how did they mess these up in the factory? Let's measure them anyway to confirm. So 18.33 for the bridge position, 20, yeah, hotter for the ceramic in the neck, so I'm definitely gonna have to swap these. 9.59 for the middle position. And just to double check if the splits do anything for the reading, no, they're just voicings, they're not actually physical coil splits. That kind of pisses me off. How am I supposed to figure out they've messed up the pickups if I don't open the guitar? So we have a plain maple top, we have 7-ply binding in the Fishmans, the 3-way Epiphone toggle, no poker chip on it. As you've seen in the prototype video, Matt had some of these with a golden engraved poker chip and with different classic knurled metals. I'm glad he went with these, the big ones looked weird. These are secured in place, so when you're playing live and when he's playing live, they will definitely not fly out like the speed knobs. And here's the sound. Just to give you an idea of how different the looks are from the regular Les Paul Custom, this has the black poker chip, as you can see. It has a pick guard and it has gold covers for the pickups and black speed knobs. Once you put them side by side, you can definitely see the difference in looks, but it's mainly in the back. The Epiphone lock tone tailpiece and the bridge, I've showed you this on God knows how many Epiphone guitars. The good thing about it is it stays in place while you restring your guitar. Onto the neck, which distinguishes this guitar from any other. It's a 3-piece mahogany, it has 1-ply binding, it is ebony. It also has 22 medium jumbo nickel frets. Now that the fingerboard is nice and oiled and also cleaned, you can definitely see that this is a lower grade wood, had some glue marks, definitely not such a huge attention to detail. It has a Graphtec nut, has the plastic inlays, the headstock is the Kalamazoo shape with a mother of pearl Epiphone logo, 2-ply truss rod cover, Les Paul Matt Heafy Origins Custom. 3 screws, unlike the Gibson Bell that has 2. The Origins feature the Kalamazoo headstock, the Custom has the open book, and the MKH Custom has the old style of the Epiphone headstock. Out of these 3, I honestly prefer the old style of the headstock. 43mm for the nut or 1.69 inch. 49.5mm or 1.94 for the 5th fret. The 12th fret is at 53.2mm or 2.09 inches. Thickness at the 1st fret, it's extremely thin at 18.2 or 0.71 inch. This is the thinnest Les Paul I've documented so far. And what's interesting, it manages to stay thin even further down at the 5th fret, 19.1 or 0.75. And a huge difference, the 12th fret is at 21.2mm or 0.83. The MKH Custom was at 27 point something. I'm sure the modern heel helps with that. The 14th fret is still thinner than the 12th of the MKH Custom at 24mm. I cannot stress enough exactly how slim this neck feels and is. A 12-inch radius as expected for a Les Paul Custom, a 24.75 inch scale length. The 7-string version of this guitar has a longer scale. Here's what the neck profile looks like, nice and rounded off near the 1st fret and flat near the 12th. This neck is extremely slim, you guys. Back of the guitar is where this differs from the MKH Custom and the regular Custom. Now in order to remove this wrap, I'm gonna have to unscrew the battery box. With everything out of the way, let's check out the electronics. This is the cheapo 3-way by Epiphone. It's not that bad, but I'm gonna definitely replace it down the road. The 4 push-pull pots for the Fishman. You can see that it's not nice and neat in here. I can kinda see the lighter in color maple cap. I see that the pickups are on the quick connect system and I see some capacitors here. Here's a plastic cover for the electronics, which has been cut to accommodate for the battery box. It holds to the cover via 4 screws and it has this blue ribbon to extract the battery easier. And here's what the cover for the 3-way switch looks like, and it has shielding on the backside. See how flimsy this 9-volt battery terminal is. It's fox leather and bends and it's hard to put on the battery. Here's the so-called heavy-duty Epiphone output jack with the rectangular gold plate and the Posi lock looking strap buttons. I'm gonna take the time to give you a warning about these. They are screwed to the body via a screw and you cannot rotate them freely once they are secured in place. Which is weird because the idea is to get your strap through them like this and then rotate them so they secure the strap in place. As convenient as that may seem, this is a leather strap and it still flaps around it. Eventually that leather is gonna stretch and the hole is gonna widen. That's what she said. Which means that you're gonna ruin the leather on your strap. And some of these cost over $150. I have a couple of Richter Matt Heafy signature straps on the way, so I'm not gonna risk and ruin those. What I do is not use these even if they seem convenient. And as I said, they're not intended to be messed with regularly. You put the strap in and leave it there. And I sometimes like to use the same strap on several guitars, and here is how I do that. Guitars usually come out of the factories with these. By the way, that is the Snowfall, as you can probably tell. It has the original strap buttons like most guitars come with. So what I do is swap these out and equip my guitars with a Schaller strap lock system. I have a video for those. One piece of the mechanism goes on the body of the guitar, the other goes on the leather. It clamps the leather of the strap and doesn't allow it to widen the hole. Doesn't ruin it. So if you like your leather straps and want to preserve them for longer, install strap locking systems. Don't use these posi locks or the standard buttons. You can get fooled that this is a thinner guitar, but it's in fact a full thickness, even though it doesn't have the binding on the edge. It has a modern weight relief. But the way the neck connects to the body is so much different than the regular Les Paul Custom, so you cannot just grab a regular Custom and make it the MKH signature. The modern heel sets it apart. Well, you can probably get a Muse or a Modern, but you will not get the looks of the Les Paul Custom. This gives you a superb high fret access. Combine that with the slimmest neck with the flattest profile near the 12th fret and you get a shreddy guitar. It's very different to the MKH Custom. As I mentioned, this is the 3-piece mahogany neck with the scarf joint, and for a neck that slim, I think it's a better situation than a 1-piece mahogany, stronger probably. 1-piece resonates better, but it's definitely not stronger than a 3-piece construction. I'm curious what Epiphone will do when they try to make a new inspired by Gibson custom version of this guitar. Will they use a 1-piece mahogany neck and the open book headstock? I think upgraded versions are definitely coming, the slash signatures with the open book headstock, the Matt Heafys, the Contrails. All sorts of improvements, but I'm wondering if Epiphone would dare to make this neck out of 1-piece mahogany when it's that slim. Luckily this guitar features Grover locking tuners, so it will be easy for me to take down the strings and swap the pickups. The serial number reads 230515. 15 stands for Qingdao China, 2305 is the date. And check it out, Matt Heafy's signature centered on the headstock. What's interesting is that even though the MKH looks worse than the Origins, it feels better. I just think Indonesian made guitars felt a little better than the new Chinese one. And here is the Axis heel. You can see how different it is to the modern one. Much chunkier and steep, 27.5mm on the 12th fret, which is massive compared to this. And here's the inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom. As you can see, that's the regular heel, full thickness body with binding on the back. I'm pretty sure that Epiphone could have done binding on the Origins, but preferred to leave it like that. As you can see, this is my ESP Custom Shop James Hetfield signature that has the cutaways but also has binding on the back. So it's doable, but probably Matt Heafy preferred to leave it like that. So I did a bit of a mistake when setting up the MKH Custom. I used 1149 gauge for drop C sharp, which is a bit thinner on the 49 gauge, the 6th string. For the Origins, I'm gonna correct my mistake using 1052, which is sufficient for the 6th string. It has enough tension, the Elixir Nano Webs, and this gauge is the same as Matt Heafy uses on his Dunlops. So a slight difference on the strings, but it's not gonna be audible. Call it a bit of a handicap for the Origins. It's gonna sound a bit thicker, just a slight bit thicker, which it needs because the EMGs sound thicker than the Fishmans anyway. While applying some tuned paste on the Graphtec nut, I've noticed that the slots are cut pretty deep as on the MKH Custom, probably to accommodate for thicker gauge strings like the 52, which may be the reason for the issues I had in the intro. A reminder on how to use locking tuners: you just put the string through, like that, straight through, leave some slack, lock it from the behind and then rotate it around 90 degrees like that. Tune it later when you put all of the strings on. Don't tune or intonate just yet when you put all of the strings in like that. And this is what the truss rod cavity looks like. And this having the slimmest neck possible, you can definitely feel the truss rod at work with minimum rotations. Shortly after I bought the Ebony, my friend brought the Bone White. It is the same guitar, just different looks and a slightly different weight, but it still has the binding for the top. I'm not gonna do a complete check, but I will do what I can without taking off the strings. I will definitely check out the pickups because I'm curious if they messed it up in here. So you can see the ceramic in the bridge is at 20.8, so it's definitely hotter than the 19.21 Aonico, so they got them right in here. That was my second clue that something was wrong with the set of pickups in my Ebony. My friend did a short demo with the pickups swapped though, so you will hear them. This is the metric spacing between the pickup rings at 58.8 millimeters, almost a full body thickness of 49.5 millimeters. And this is what the neck profile looks like, same as on the Ebony, slim and flat near the 12th fret. And you can have a better look at that modern heel in white. And the lighter color also draws my attention to the edge of the body. It's rolled. I love this bone white color, it's perfect for this guitar. Here's the back of the headstock and the serial number 230515, confirming that these guitars came from the same batch on the same month. I love how the golden Matt Heafy signature pops on the bone white finish. Same situation like the Ebony in the electronics compartment, still messy in here. We have the capacitors, we have the quick connect and the complicated system of 4 push-pull pots. This is painted in bone white as well, so I cannot confirm that this is a maple top as it's in the specs. Here's the difference between alpine white and bone white under artificial light. The Origins is much creamier opposed to the snow white Les Paul Custom, and you'll only notice this when you put the guitars side by side, otherwise you would swear that the Origins is the whitest white. I think that the Origins might be the same color as the Prophecy Jerry Cantrell. And speaking of white, here is the whitest of white, the Matt Heafy Snowfall. I've just bought this guitar and it just came right on time to feature this video, but I'm gonna do a separate one to demonstrate it. Both bone white and ebony came in this Matt Heafy signature Epiphone case with the Epiphone logo here, a couple of latches, a couple of supports, hinges on the back side. It's just your Epiphone Les Paul case, but with the Matt Heafy signature. Here's the lining. It's gray and soft on the inside, and it has this compartment for accessories with the Epiphone handle. I'm not gonna show you all of these. I have like 20 videos of them featured inside the case, and this is the key for it. Made in China. Here's the beautiful MKH signature on the case in gold lettering. The first MKH Custom weighs exactly 9 pounds or 4084 grams, which is funny because the Snowfall is half a pound heavier. Is this the same guitar? I'll figure out in the next video review I do with both of these guitars. Now watch what happens when you use modern weight relief and slimmer necks. 8 pounds for the Ebony Origins, and weirdly the bone white is slightly heavier, but still shockingly light for a Les Paul. Now watch what I mean. This is the perfect weight for a Les Paul Custom, my 2013 Silver Burst at 9.5 and something pounds, but this gets heavier. Watch my 2008 Alpine White at almost 11 pounds. This is the heaviest Les Paul I've owned and tried by far, and it breaks backs. So order is restored with the Origins and the inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom Epiphone at 8.5 again. Not everybody likes Les Pauls being heavy, especially Matt Heafy, who uses a double strap and his Origins are much lighter. Speaking of him, let's hear him demonstrate it.
What's up everyone, this is Matt Heafy here from the band Trivium. Today I'm going to show you some of my favorite riffs from across the Trivium catalog for my episode of Riff Lords. The next song I want to take a look at is a song called Suffocating Sight off our second record, Ascendancy. On this record we decided to go fully into drop D. This is one where I've always prided myself on being a great rhythm guitar player. I'd say that the shreddiest guy of this band is absolutely Corey. I'm a decent lead guitar player. My solos are more like dad solos, sticking in pentatonic boxes and blues, things like that. But this song is one that even to the best lead guitar players of other bands, their arms have fallen. So this is a good song for you to learn. If you learn this one, you can play anything. So here we go. This is album speed of Suffocating Sight.
Here's my friend, the owner of the Bone White. He's gonna help me compare the MKH Custom, both origins. The Ebony is gonna have the pickups swapped as they mistakenly put them in the factory. The Gibson Les Paul Custom and the Epiphone inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom. So here we go. So here I am before recording the audio, fixing the Chinese worker's mistake. These two are swapped. That's the Aunico, that's the ceramic. Should be the other way around. Unfortunately, I have to take off the strings. The good thing is these are locking tuners and I left some slack in there, so I should be able to reuse them. I didn't intonate the guitar or anything, but a good thing I noticed this because the sound review would have been wrong. I did record a short comparison. My friend recorded a short comparison versus the Bone White with this swapped situation, so that should be interesting. The audio that you heard before was with the swapped pickups. I was just about to do a simple swap by putting the Aunico in the neck position and the ceramic in the bridge, swapping the pickup rings as well. Then I noticed this single coil mode select and got me worried if they got this wrong as well. So in order to check it out, I went to the Fishman Fluence official website and checked the diagrams for 6-string Matt Heafy, 2-volume, 2-tone and a 3-way switch. And sure enough, modern Aunico in the neck position. We have it here, and the position of this soldered bit here on the back of the board seems to be checking out. And let's check out the ceramic bridge just in case. See that position? Yeah, checks out as well. I was worried if these were set correctly, because if this was set for a bridge position, the single coil should be here, and if it's for the neck position, should be here. Right now it's correct, the single coil position is here, for the bridge ceramic is here, but I was worried if the guys at the Epiphone factory swapped these as well. Always well according to the official wiring diagram. Well, at least we got our answer. The original EMG height adjustment screws with the imperial thread fit on the Fishmans, so a regular screw for passive pickups wouldn't fit this. And one more update, the pickup ring screws are not the same length as I've mentioned earlier in the video. Shorter for the neck position, longer for the bridge. Here we go, Aunico in the neck position, proper pin placement, ceramic in the bridge position, proper placement of the pickup ring. Everything is back as it should have been out of the factory. There we go. All of this got me thinking, well, I cannot be the only one that has this problem, so I got to the Facebook group Epiphone Guitar Fan Club and posted my troubles, and so it happens a lot of other people had this exact same issue. As it turned out, a lot of 2022 and 2023 guitars had the pickups swapped from the factory, and not only the 6 strings, the 7 strings as well. When I swapped my pickups, I contacted my friend that did the demo previously, and he found out that his pickups are swapped as well. That's why we did the demo with the swap pickups, not knowing it. I found it out later and I swapped them back, so the audio demo that you will hear later in this video is the correct one with the pickups in the proper place. All this makes me wonder though, how many people experienced these guitars and reviewed these guitars with the mistake that was made in the Chinese factory. Here's the official diagram from the Fishman website to properly wire the Matt Heafy set. Well, I don't know what to tell you anymore. The multimeter is still picking up weird readings. The bridge, that is now the ceramic, is at 18.38, should have been 20. Switching over to the Aunico in the neck, 20.5. I wonder if the position of the 3-way switch, the direction of it is wrong as well, but doesn't sound like it, so I'm not gonna trust the readings. These are in the correct places now. And here's the thing, these are both intended for both positions. You can put the ceramic in the bridge and the neck, you can put the Aunico in the bridge and the neck. It's just the single coil mode. Which side of the pickup is the single coil related to the bridge and the neck positions? So the Aunico definitely sounded good in this position, but as a Matt Heafy said, as in this guitar, they should be like that, Aunico, ceramic. So here goes, let's do the demo with these in their proper positions. Well boys, it's official. I found a set of Fishmans that I like, and that almost didn't happen because of the factory mistake. I prefer the ceramic pickup in the bridge as Matt intended. The origin articulates better this way, cuts better in the mix, and it's truly versatile. For the first time I feel a true difference between active and passive modes, and the single coil mode doesn't feel like a gimmick. This truly is a guitar that can be useful to anyone, not just Trivium fans. And if you are a Trivium fan, the active mode on the ceramic gets you almost there. Now I just need a PV amp and some hard work. On the downside, what you see me doing back there is adjusting the height of the aunicle in the neck position because it sounded a bit dull to me in the room, but as it happens, recorded, it sounds normal. That's the thing with pickups, you feel one thing in the room, hearing the recording it's a total different story. That's why it's hard to convey in a video what I feel about these guitars, so I'm gonna have to start explaining it, I guess. Adjusting the height of the aunicle pickup sort of fixed things for me in the room, but I guess I'm gonna have to play around with the guitar some more. And that's the good thing about owning a guitar. I didn't just get these from a friend for a day or two. I didn't get them from the store for a review. I didn't trade them or anything. I bought them with my own money and I'm gonna enjoy them. I'm gonna play them some more and I'm gonna figure them out. And I'm gonna be truly happy that I got to own a guitar from my favorite artist, Matt Heafy. Now on to the conclusion. Here are all of the guitars that I mentioned in the video. Only the Snowfall is missing, but it will have a video of its own. Now I'm gonna explain the differences between these. We got the Bone White, we have the Ebony, the inspired by Gibson Custom Les Paul Custom, and the MKH Custom. It is his first signature. Now these two, the Bone White and the Ebony, are way too different than the Les Paul Custom. The MKH Custom is closer to it than these two. All of these guitars feature ebony fingerboards, only the inspired by Gibson Custom has the mother of pearl inlays, the rest are acrylic or plastic. The main differences between these guitars are noticeable in the back. In the front you can only notice the difference in the pickups. The origins have the MKH Fishmans, this has the EMG set and this has the Gibson 490-498. The origins feature the Kalamazoo headstock, this has the open book, this has the old style. The MKH Custom is blacked out, the rest have gold hardware. Both of these feature black speed knobs, the origins have the metal knurled. All of these guitars feature the Epiphone lock tone bridge and the tailpiece. All of them are 24.75 inch scale length and 22 frets. As I said, the noticeable differences between these are in the back. Some of you might be thinking, well, I'll just buy the regular Les Paul Custom and slap some Fishman Matt Heafys in there, and this makes the Matt Heafy signature. Well, no, check out the back. Full thickness with binding on the back and no access. Just a regular set neck construction with the heel. The original MKH Custom has the access, still full thickness, no binding for the back. Now check out the origins. This is the modern neck joint. I've seen it on the Les Paul Modern and the Muse that I've reviewed, I think. Again, almost a full thickness guitar with no binding on the back. That's an extremely thick neck. The Custom is in the middle, these two are thin. You've seen the measurements in the video, but obviously these two guitars, the origins, feel way different than the MKH Custom, and none of them feels like the Les Paul Custom. So if you want a Matt Heafy signature, you have to buy either the origins or the original MKH Custom. All of these guitars are great, but that's a proof that the MKH Custom and the origins is more than just a Les Paul Custom with some pickups and blacked out hardware or white out. And here's the difference between Alpine White and Bone White in natural light situation. It was much better noticeable on artificial light. Okay, here's the thing. I love the fact that Matt uses the exact same guitars that everyone else is able to buy. He has a couple of Evertune equipped ones that are specially made for him, but that's not a big deal. That's pretty much the dream of a lot of people, including me, to be able to play the same guitars as our idols. Using the same instrument as Matt lets us know for sure that it's we who suck, not the gear. They are also reasonably priced, especially for the new market. The Origins has not yet caught up with the inspired by Gibson Custom price tags for $1,500 and over sometimes. I suspect that later down the line there will be renewed versions of most signature guitars for Slash, Control and Heafy. As a part of the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup, they will feature the open book headstock, mother of pearl, upgraded electronics and all of that. They will also come with a higher price tag. The question is, does the Origins really need the upgrade? And for me the answer is no. Bear with me on this one. I know most of you would pay the premium for the open book headstock alone. For those of you, yeah, it's worth it. But for the rest of us, I don't need the Gibson headstock, don't need mother of pearl inlays. I don't think that such a thin neck will benefit from being a one-piece mahogany. The Origins will also not benefit from upgraded Gibson pickups because it's already equipped with Matt's own Fishmans. The only thing worth upgrading is the jack and the switch, which you can do easily by yourself. Maybe stainless steel frets to modernize it a bit, but that would deviate from the idea of being a Les Paul Custom. So we pretty much already have the perfect Origins. We've already established that you cannot just buy the regular Custom and slap the Fishmans in there and call it the Origins. It's way too different. If you just want a modern Les Paul and maybe 24 frets, you probably should look up the Les Paul Prophecy and the Control Prophecy, both of which I have a review, or go for the LTD EC1000 that I've also reviewed with the Fishman pickups. Which one should you go for, the MKH Custom, Snowfall, or the Origins, or just the regular Custom? This is a tough one and I will allow myself to be subjective here. I, same as Matt, am a Gibson Les Paul Custom guy. The specs of the Les Paul Custom fit me just right, the neck, the scale, the frets, the weight. So here's the thing, Matt says that his signatures are modeled after the Les Paul Custom, but they are not. As simple as that. The MKH Custom gets the weight and looks right, but the neck is too thick, even with the access heel. The Origins on the other hand is too light and its neck is crazy thin, not feeling like the Gibson Custom at all. Both guitars are Epiphone, one made in Indonesia, the other in China. The Gibson is USA custom shop. I already have 2 videos about Gibson versus Epiphone Les Paul Custom, which are nearly an hour long each, so watch those. In essence, the Epiphones are not the Gibson. If you want a Gibson Les Paul Custom, go buy that. If you want a cool blacked out or white out MKH that is almost as heavy as the Gibson and has thicker neck, go for the MKH Custom or the Snowfall. If you want a lighter guitar, shredder with a thin neck and superb modern heel, with the best high fret access on a Les Paul, go for the Origins. I can't choose one over the other though, that's why I own both. I was expecting to dislike the Fishmans, but I actually like them, especially on the modern voicing. They're different than others. Is the MKH Custom worth buying these days? Yes, as I demonstrated, even the most played ones are worth buying and restoring. More on that in the Snowfall review that is coming. Is buying the Origins worth it, or should you wait for it to be upgraded with the Inspired by Gibson Custom treatment? As I already explained, the Origins will not benefit greatly from such an upgrade, so I would say that it's definitely still a good value. The case and the MKH Fishmans alone are over $500 in value, and as we established, the Origins is not just a regular custom with those upgrades. So, if you're on the market for a true Matt Heafy Les Paul signature, you got only 2 options, the MKH Custom or the Snowfall, or the Origins. Whichever one you choose, you can't go wrong. I think the perfect blend for me would be made in Indonesia, the MKH Custom with the Origins neck and modern heel, no weight relief, and the MKH Fishmans in there. Basically a guitar that does not exist, even in the prototype form. Oh well, I guess I will keep both.